So when I was a young 30-year-old goalie, I actually had to completely stop playing just due to all the pain that I had after a skate. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how I got better, and at the end of the video, I'm also going to show part of a foam rolling routine that I do normally to make sure this doesn't happen again. So I'm not even exaggerating that after a skate when I was 30 years old, I really couldn't even get out of bed. Like my legs would just hurt so much. I think I actually called in sick a couple of times because I couldn't really walk very far. Long story short, I went to the doctor to kind of figure out what was going on. I had a few x-rays done on my hip, and basically I had bone spurs where my leg kind of rotates in the socket. And I believe one of the doctors also said that I had hips of a 40-year-old at that time. Funny thing is, I'm actually 40 now and my hips feel probably better than they did when I was 30. On top of this, I also had severe neck pain, so I couldn't really turn my head in full range of motion. And when I did try to move my neck in the extended range of motion, I had a lot of sharp pain happening. So I also had some x-rays done on my neck, and basically what they saw was I had a reverse cervical, meaning that my neck was kind of curved the wrong way. So at that point in my life, when I was 30, I was sitting on the computer a lot, maybe 10 to 12 hours a day, playing on my phone, texting a bunch as well too. Outside of lifting weights and playing hockey, I wasn't really doing much other types of exercise. So unfortunately, this type of neglect on my body, I actually literally had to kind of shut down from playing hockey altogether. And the doctor actually even put me on a year wait list to see a specialist to kind of figure out what was going on with my body. So hockey's always been a part of my life since I was like in elementary school where I started playing, and kind of knowing that I wouldn't play again kind of really put me in a bit of a depressive state. I mean, my best friends were still tearing it up and I was sidelined, not being able to play at all. So this really sucked. And for me to just try to accept the fact that I probably wouldn't play again, I just couldn't really live with that. So instead of kind of like waiting around for a year for a specialist, I decided to go to a physiotherapist and also a chiropractor to see what they can do to help my body out. Both practitioners said I had extremely tight muscles around up my neck area, but especially my quads. On top of that, I had really poor posture and I was never really using my glutes properly when I was lifting weights or playing sports. They also said that treatment is going to be useful, which it was, but really the only way to get better was to make lifestyle changes. So these are things like not sitting down on the computer as much, not playing on the phone as much, making sure that I do some daily mobility and flexibility routines, and just trying to be conscious of how my body is feeling and kind of get out of those sedentary states that most of us tend to be in the technology age. So lucky for me, I was able to get back on the ice after taking their advice. Within that year, took about, I'd say about 9 months before I felt comfortable going back on the ice. I was pain-free after a session of being on the ice. I mean, I was still a little bit sore here and there, but it was never bad enough that I would be like, I can't play anymore. So that was great news. And when the specialist had actually called me back exactly a year later, I was actually wondering, why did I need a specialist? Because I'm actually playing pretty well right now. I actually didn't even know what the appointment was for. So I completely canceled that thing out because I didn't really want to go down that route anyway. What I learned from this was if I wanted to continue playing hockey, that I had to make permanent lifestyle changes to the way I do things outside of hockey. And one of the things that I really like about being goalie is you're really accountable to your team, and having that accountability makes you trying to take care of yourself, because if your body is not feeling good, you're not going to perform well. And when you're not performing well as a goalie, all eyes are on you. So if you don't play a good game, everyone's going to know about it. So you want to try to do yourself and your team a favor to feel the best before you hit the ice. And now that I'm actually in my 40s, this couldn't be more true. And back when I started the channel not too long ago in December 2023, I was only on the ice once a week. So my goal at that time was to try to get on the ice a lot more. So maybe 3 to 5 times a week, which is a lot more workload than my body was used to. So I was a little bit skeptical about doing that, and a little bit scared, of course, because I didn't want to kind of go down that route again where my body just hurts so much after a skate that I couldn't play anymore. So what I want to share with you today is part of my foam rolling routine that my physiotherapist prescribed for me to do. And I felt like when I incorporated this into my daily and post-game routines, I was able to kind of do like 2 to 3 back-to-back nights of playing hockey with no problems at all. Because this is specifically prescribed for my body where I have very, very tight quads. It might benefit some of you, but it also might work differently for others as well. So first off, we'll start out by rolling out the glutes. And I'll just prop my leg on top of the other to get a really intense sensation. And we'll just kind of try to find a tender spot. Usually where the top of my glute meets the back, I can feel a lot of tenderness. So I usually hit that area quite a bit first. Another tender spot that I usually have, and excuse my language, is kind of near the bottom of my butt crack. Definitely not the most comfortable using the foam roller there, but I'll definitely sit on that section for a little bit longer. Next, we'll just roll over and hit the hip flexor, which is almost always sore. And I'll just sit on that section for a bit of time. And I'll just try to hit the outside of that as well. And again, just keep in mind as we're doing this is we're not trying to get a comfortable, fun massage. We're actually trying to find tender spots and sitting on it until it releases. And that's gonna be a little bit uncomfortable if you're new to doing this. Speaking of uncomfortable, this section is gonna be probably the most painful, at least it was for me. We're gonna start to work on the quad, from the top of the quad down to the knee. And when I first did this, I could barely last a few seconds using a foam roller, which really shows how tight my quads used to be. So I'll just kind of slowly work from the top of the quad, kind of like on the outside border, and just trying to find tender spots and kind of just sit on those areas until they release. And just work my way down to kind of close around the knee area, which I'll find a few more tender spots as well. So if you're trying this out, it can be really intense if it's the first time you're doing it, especially with one of these like nubbly foam rollers that I have. So don't be afraid to kind of just dial it back if it's too intense. When I do this, I don't really have any specific sets or reps. I kind of just allow myself a certain amount of time each night and kind of just feel it out. So if I have more spots on my glute, I'll spend more time there. If I have more spots on my quad, I'll spend a bit more time there as well. So using a combination of the quad stretch and this foam rolling routine, my body's really never felt better from playing so many games each week. So now that I'm in the off season, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit lazy now. I'm not on the ice as much because I don't have a team to play for. I kind of neglected the foam rolling, and I can already tell, you know, we're a couple months out of the season and I'm already starting to feel really tight hips again. Tight lower back. So I'm trying to practice what I preach. I'm gonna kind of get back on this routine and try to do it nightly like I used to, and feeling better again, because I definitely have felt a big difference compared to when I was doing it regularly versus now where I'm not really doing it as much. So consistency is definitely key. Anyways, I know there's a lot of you out there who are playing through pain and some injuries. Hang in there, see if there's some lifestyle changes that you can make that can prevent you from getting into that position to begin with. And also don't be too hard on yourself, because these things do take a lot of time for your body to heal and get better. Anyways, I hope you liked my story of recovery. I hope you're all having a good off season. I think we've got a few actual league games coming up fairly soon, which is why I'm trying to ramp up my recovery. That way I can get into those games feeling good. Thanks so much for watching again, and I'll see you in the next video.